at sunrise, chanting, dancing to his name. Hari Bol, Hari Bol. He would wake up everyone, rise and rejoice to the name. Hari Bol.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya. Hey, popped up. Magic. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Sri Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Sri Advaita Chandra. So why don't we read from Chaitanya Mangal here a little bit. Vishvambara's sacred thread ceremony. Gaura's pastimes continually flooded the city of Nadia with an ocean of bliss. Gaurangas pastimes. Whoa! Yeah. He flooded the city of Nadia in an ocean of bliss. The whole universe could not contain the happiness and fortune of Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Devi, nor can anyone describe it. One day, when his well-behaved son turned 9 years old, Jagannath decided to award him the sacred thread. Calling an astrologer, he and his wife picked an auspicious day for Vishvambara's Brahmitical initiation. Jagannath invited the relatives and asked for their blessings. He also invited Advaitacharya, the well-known scholar, expert in Vedic rituals. Jagannath Mishra distributed betel nuts, sandalwood paste, and flower garlands to the visiting brahmanas. Actually, I think I want to read Caitanya-caritāmṛta. I think so. We'll find out. Let's see. The Desire Tree of Devotional Service. This is chapter 9 of Adi Lila. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the spiritual master of the entire world, Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by whose mercy even a dog can swim across that great ocean. Once I heard Prabhupada say, I heard it from Gargamuni, so it's probably true. He likes to quote Prabhupada exactly. And he said, only Lord Chaitanya could take his place. Only Lord Chaitanya could take his place. Okay? So the real spiritual master is actually Krishna or Lord Chaitanya. Okay? The real spiritual master. That's why we have the concept of bi-medium. See, concept of bi-medium means the Lord is coming through. See? So when you see a spiritual master, if they're really bona fide, they're a bi-medium, and you take that thought back more logically to the next conclusion, there's the Lord Chaitanya. So you see, this is right. Lord Chaitanya is the spiritual master of the entire world. So the devotee becomes qualified when they worship the Lord with loving ecstasy. Okay? And then the Lord gives them the right knowledge. See? Real knowledge. Beyond speculating on Vedas by study. See? And so, if we want that mercy of Lord Chaitanya, now people think in a little bit of unclarity, think, well, let's go to Lord Chaitanya, let's go to Nityananda and get it. Okay, let's go directly. Okay, so they're thinking like that. Okay, so let's go directly. But better to go through the Vai medium. Okay? Because if you go directly, you have to have that qualification, to really connect without speculating, to really get the right understanding, the right knowledge. You have to have that love and worship the Lord with loving ecstasy. So better to go through the Vai medium who can talk to you and tell you as it is. That's the whole purpose of Bhagavad-Gita, as it is. It's supposed to be written in as it is. And then it'll give you a good insight. But even then, people still speculate. You got to hear the vibration. Everybody has to come in the real line. Unless you're already a devotee. Unless you already have that devotion and you're communing with God, communicating with the Lord. But you have to have that language of love, a loving connection. Okay? It's the only way you're going to hear the right thing. Okay? So if you don't have it, you got to hear from the bona fide Vai medium for that Lord. That's why the Lord, when you're ready to be delivered, He sends His devotee to talk to you. Okay? And they point out the way without speculation. Okay? Clear, concise, no beating around the bush, no putting up different speculations or ideas that aren't conclusive. Okay? So isn't Lord Chaitanya the spiritual master of the universe, like it says here? Okay? Okay, but to get that clear instruction, isn't it recommended you go through the Vai medium, the bona fide spiritual master? Then you're sure to get the Lord. And then how do you know you're not getting cheated? Well, when you're getting purified and you listen, then you become intelligent. You start to say, well, I can even check it in a book. Wow, I'm actually getting a deeper understanding than I had before. Better than I could do, better than my Ritvik friends could do, better than the living gurus who have not made it to the platform of unalloyed loving service can do. So therefore, there's the door. Very logical, isn't it? What's the difficulty? I don't get it.
So where's you?
What? I'm the difficulty.
Yeah. You don't match their appearance of what it should come out.
Oh yeah, that's a difficulty. Yeah, it should come through a better package. It's all about packaging, right? Isn't it? Well, if the package was too good, then we get a lot of persons that may have motives or something, and they just give us a disturbance. Better get to those who that the Lord, they're inspiring because they're going there. Because if you're looking externally, say I look like the perfect sannyas, right? Tila, nice shining silk dhoti, I kissed a lot of butt, so I got a nice position in some organization. And I did what they said, and I compromised and all of that. Say I looked the part, but I didn't do any of that. See?
What about opposite?
What?
And you got what you got, but you looked.
Yeah, that's what I said. All right, so we got the deep thing and we looked the part, okay? So there's a lot of persons that are just looking at the externals. Okay? And they come, and they're not ready for this kind of purification. See, they'll immediately flip out. See? So better to get the ones who are just naturally, the Lord is drawing them because they're looking deeper. He's giving them the deeper thing, and not just to catch everybody. See, like Prabhupada caught everybody, but he didn't, you know, he taught more of the beginning stuff.
What do you mean by flip out? Wouldn't they just leave?
Well, they could probably cause a disturbance. Could just destroy the whole mission. They might totally misunderstand because they start projecting that what they are, this guru is. They just cannot discriminate of what's their own purification and what's their projection. Devotees who are looking externally are like that. I've seen it already. They totally project out and think that their envy is the guru's envy. If I start telling truth, it's going to draw out all that stuff. See, so better to get the persons that are serious, you know, and they're, you know, the Lord lets them look within, and then the other section, wait till they're ready for that. Otherwise, we can't preach like this. It just, you know, we'd be doing what Prabhupada did. Let's catch a whole big offense in the barrel, and not sort it out. See, it's the same thing with Jesus. See, he came as a carpenter. And he didn't catch a lot of fish. He got 11 people that really listened to him seriously. And that was enough. And that was enough to start what he was doing. You don't know the kind of, I mean, you do know. You could see what happens to people here that come here, what they got to go through. Some, you know, when you really go deep into this, the false ego identifications. Yeah. So anyway, this is the way it's being played here. I can't do anything different. It's just not my nature. Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, this is the way it's being played. And it's good. I mean, it's great because people come here, you can tell. I mean, you know, like, hey man, they really want the deep thing. They're not being hindered by the clothing, or they're looking like, hey man, I really want to know this truth, and is this person worthy to listen to? Is this really clearing up my doubts and my questions? Am I getting deep answers now? Is this deeper than what I learned before? See, you gotta, you know, look like that. Yeah. So all glories to Sri Krishna Chaitanya, who is known as Gaurahari, and all glories to Advaita Acharya Nityananda Prabhu. All glories to the devotees of Lord Chaitanya, headed by Srivas Thakur. In order to fulfill all my desires, I remember their lotus feet. All glories to all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya, headed by Srivas Thakur. So you know they're pure devotees, right? Okay. Headed by Srivas Thakur, but all the devotees that have devotion to the Lord are wonderful. Okay. Remembering their feet is how we actually make advancement. Okay. And that's part of that's the reason we need to know what is a shudha bhakti and what is shudha bhakti. Okay. What is actually transcendental and what is not. Because if I'm meditating on, say, like Prabhupada and his books and all that, and I'm meditating on a glowworm, say somebody who is not really an ecstatic devotee, it doesn't have that kind of bhakti that Prabhupada had. Okay? So, and I'm meditating on them as my deliverer. And I'm meditating on Prabhupada because that's what we're practically doing. People have Prabhupada's books, he's being glorified, but also these other gurus are being glorified. See? So, is that really conclusive to do that? Should we meditate only on the pure devotees, the ones who are actually intimately associated with the Lord? Was it did the disciples of Jesus, did they worship the Pharisees as well as Jesus, or did they just, now that Jesus came, did they learn from him? There's only one person that associated with the Pharisees, and we know what happened. That was Judas. See, Judas associated with the Pharisees against the order of Jesus. Jesus said, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees. That leaven is this pride and jealousy, false prestige. Because if you get intimate with those persons, you believe in those persons, which he did, he ended up betraying the spiritual potency in the form of Jesus Christ. Betrayed it hypocritically with a kiss. Oh, Master, I love you. But he was polluted, he was contaminated by his association. Therefore, he was misled and misguided automatically. That's how Maya works. Yeah, I've seen this work here, man. I've seen people here who don't follow the program. They say, like, one person might have said, like, oh, well, I have a guru. I'm not here to worship Gaurahari Das, but I like the energy. Yeah, see, I don't need another guru. And I have a different opinion than him. See? But I like the energy. See? And so, having that kind of association, it ends up being a Judas thing. Okay? Because it's not conclusive. You know, if there's a guru here, and they're bona fide, and you have a guru like Prabhupada, or like anywhere else, guru is one. You got to see, hey, that Lord Chaitanya was working, by medium was working through Prabhupada, was working through Bhakti Siddhanta, and if that's here, it's the same thing. You're actually now you're understanding conclusively. Right? Otherwise, you're not sufficiently purified, and then that's what the Shiksha Guru is meant to do: is purify you to learn things as they are. Okay? And the opposite can be done too. If you say, or another way, you could say, well, I'm worshiping Prabhupada and Bhakti Siddhanta and Rupa Goswami and all that, but the guru you're also worshiping now, the living one, is not bona fide. They're not like that. They're not ecstatic devotees, very intimate, very mature in their bhakti. Hey, that's a fault also. Do you see that?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
hinders that.
Hinders, yeah. Hinders because you're not, in other words, you didn't learn the lesson to make the difference, to discriminate what is the highest truth. The highest truth is Guru Tattva. The highest truth is the real pure devotee that delivers his disciples, like chapter 1 in Adi Lila says. Okay? That's the real devotee is the Bhagavata like that, and what they tell you is actually in the Bhagavad, because they are that. Okay? And so if you're learning something else from somebody less qualified, and then you're also mixing in some worship of Prabhupada and other devotees who are not actually Vishnu Tattva. You know, Vishnu Tattva means you have a relationship with Vishnu. And Guru is part of Vishnu Tattva. Or Krishna Tattva, actually, in our line. Okay? Because the real Guru is a relative. They have that non-difference. The Gurus in our line are ecstatic. They are in one of the 4 types of relationships with Krishna, according to what we read here. Some people say 5. The book says 4. That we should really be concerned with. And Prabhupada also says that. Mainly 4 relationships. Servant, friendship, intimate servant. See, intimacy. Transcendental is that kind of intimacy with God. Okay? Maintainer of the Lord or conjugal. Okay? One of those relationships. See, now you can put your picture on the altar. If you don't, you're not like that. You're not a relative. You're not isn't it? Aren't people relatives in this world because of material bond? Right? Literally? If you got a father and mother, you're related because of a material bond, usually. That's the way of the world. Well, how are you going to be related to the Lord? How are you going to be related to Lord Chaitanya? What kind of bond do you have to have? A transcendental bond. You have to have your awakening of your spiritual body because the Lord is spiritual. There are symptoms of having your spiritual body awaken. That's that ecstatic worship. Making sense? Yeah. Otherwise, you're out of sync, man. You know, you're a hypocrite. You're saying, yeah, I'm related, put my picture on the altar, but I'm not transcendentally situated. I'm not a real relative. You know, some maybe group stamped me bona fide deliverer of my disciples. What do you think? Should they put their picture on the altar if they're not? Of course not.
You already know my position on that for most people. But yeah, I mean, before you said it, it became very clear that nothing that is not shudha satva should be placed on the altar.
Yeah. Okay, here, take the microphone. Might have to get this out a little bit. There you go.
Yeah, you already made it clear in your earlier videos. I don't know which ones and how many years ago, but it's a very nice and clear principle, is that nothing, no personality should be placed on an altar that is not a shudha sattva, in shudha sattva. So that's why if you have a guru that's not on that level and you're putting him on the altar and worshipping him as good as God, because that's what you sort of, to be on the altar, it's on that level, then it's a mistake. And they shouldn't be on the altar. You can have your guru, but they shouldn't be on the altar. You know, they'll take you as far as they can.
Yeah. Well, ultimately, if for the advanced Krishna conscious teaching here is you have to worship what is transcendental. Worship it. Otherwise, what is the point of having faith in what is mundane and material? That's going to bite us in the butt. That's going to keep us on the material platform. It's like you got a good apple and you got a bad apple. See, bad apple is the material energy. Is a material person still in the material? They could be a good person, man. They could never lie and all that stuff. Jarasandha was like that. That's why you have a Bhagavatam example. Jarasandha was a good person. Good person. Good apple, even. Nice and shiny, you know, but you put that Jarasandha, who was worshipping Vishnu, even that form of God in the mode of goodness, considered that those in the mode of goodness worship Vishnu usually. So he was like that, and now you put the transcendental apple together with that good apple there, and the relationship wasn't there. See, because it was there in opposition. See, that's why everything is connected to the Lord. But if the apple there is not transcendental, it will be opposed to what is. You almost always, actually, unless the person gets special mercy from the Lord. See, that's why Jarasandha, even though he followed the rules and regulations strictly of the Vedas, He was even considered a bit demoniac because he opposed the transcendental apple there, Krishna. You know, that should be the apple of our eye. You know, we should be looking at that apple. It's transcendental. Yeah, go ahead.
I hope you don't mind me asking this question because it's a little bit challenging, but to just clear things for now and the future, is that I asked you once actually this question before, and it's like, I didn't get an answer actually, it was on Facebook, maybe you didn't see the question. But it's like, so in what I understand so far is there's personalities, and I accept Prabhupada like that, Bhakti Siddhanta, Bhakti, that are coming down from the spiritual world to take positions as guru and lead. That's why I see that. And then there are conditioned souls, jivas, like myself, and I consider you like that also, if you can correct me, that are coming up from the conditioned level, and then as they come up, or if and when the Lord chooses, I'm going to choose this person, I'm going to empower him to teach this, or whatever level. So then...
So, by the way, why would you say Prabhupada is different than this fool?
Yeah, I was going to explain that. Yeah. Because from what I know and what I perceive, just my own understanding so far, is that he came from the transcendental realm by he himself says his relationship with Krishna. What he wrote in the books, what he did in this time, how he lived his life. He himself saying stuff like, there was never a time when I forgot Krishna. You know, do you understand that? Things like that he said, and his life, let's say. And see something similar. Of course, I don't know Bhakti Siddhanta personally or Bhakti Vinod, but we see that. And then in our realm of things, with the devotees in this Sangha or others and yourself, I've seen personally myself, material traits, let's say.
So what is the difference? Say, what is the difference if Prabhupada, say he got this mercy in another life from a Vaishnava, and then he came in this life.
Yeah.
Or say he came from the spiritual world, and he came into this life, and he's empowered to be guru to deliver people.
Yeah.
So what is the problem? What is like the difficulty of just saying, hey man, it's transcendental? I mean, what's being done here, people are getting bhakti that he didn't give. People, he didn't just give we're just beginning our Sangha last 2 years. And more bhakti is being given than he gave, and Bhakti Siddhanta gave. Already. So it's not a point of like, well, he was up there and the person's right here now and they're enlightened now. So what? The empowerment is the main thing. Krishna was using him, and that's why we see here people that are awakening in this life, this way, they're getting empowered by Krishna. You know, ecstatic, chanting holy name and ecstasy and all that. So, you know, hey man, what's the big deal about making, well, he was there, always there, and you're like this? That's making an unnecessary
the question is there. That's not my question, by the way. But,
all right.
But that, let's say, arises as far as developing trust and faith in someone. So if, let's say, somebody's just convinced about the position of that one, then you just accept them, you have full faith in them. That's my position with Prabhupada. But if someone has experience of your past, for example, they will have doubts and they will have this. So, and then I'm going to throw in members of this Sangha, because this is like my real question actually, and I asked you before, is at what stage, if it's a conditioned soul coming up to that level, as we see with the Sangha, at what stage can we say, okay, they are worshipable? We can put them on the altar. I can put you, Johan, Lalita, or whoever on the altar and worship them, or, in the altar of my heart, and they are worshipable. There must be, I'm saying there must be because my logic, but what's the distinguishing factor that, okay, they're not worshipable yet, or yes, they are worshipable?
Oh, yeah. Well, one thing is the mature, the devotee, just like when the sages, they approached Sutta Goswami, and they said, Sutta Goswami, we want to hear from you because you've heard from authorities and you've assimilated the messages of Bhagavatam, and through your life experience also. So there's a certain maturity, just like we see people are awakening here. They got this bhakti awakening. It's no doubt about that, or at least. But some people have doubt because they look at some of the conditioning that's being dissolved, because the Lord is not waiting for us to be perfect before He starts acting. See? So there will be a time where it's a maturing phase, just like there's a time where we see that people are just it's a natural thing. It just becomes obvious. Not only obvious, they start having dreams maybe. The guru, maybe we'll see, people in the Sangha will see, hey man, this person should be honored like that on the same kind of platform. It's a maturing process, and it's just like it becomes obvious. I mean, Prabhupada wasn't worshipped, and he was preaching for many years until a certain point, and it just became obvious. That this person is transcendently situated. And that was just bringing people to the Vaidhi level. So to me, what's really the next frontier is to bring people to the next platform. I mean, if you can do that, that's pretty amazing. That's acharya material. Prabhupada said, if an acharya is even different than a spiritual master, in the sense they make a special contribution to the Vaishnava Disciplic line. And to me, bringing people from Vaidhi platform and awakening devotion is someone who would deserve that kind of a title. See? And so if, say, the disciples of an acharya start doing stuff like that, what would you say? I mean, this is because, see, that means that person is got special empowerment now, and the Lord is using them. So it becomes obvious. And if the guru is there, they'll give them, say, yeah, man, he'll mention something. Like Prabhupada said, if Bhaktisiddhanta wanted somebody to do the Acharya thing, he would have mentioned, but he didn't. Do you remember coming across that? Yeah. So he would have mentioned, but he didn't. So because the qualification is special, very special, and people didn't understand that in his group, in the Gaudiya Vaishnava link or line that Bhaktisiddhanta was in. Yeah, but everybody's learning. It's pretty new. It's started really developing since Bhaktivinoda Thakur, where he's made a line, like establishing a line through this preaching with his son and then Prabhupada. So it's developing. Everything is getting more clear. So at what point they're worshipable? I would just say it becomes obvious, by their empowerment, by their revelation and realization, by their ecstasy, by the level of Satchidananda you begin to see in them. Especially if you're part of this group here and you're sincere, you should start to see who is really spiritually advanced, who is becoming mature in their conclusive understanding, and who is becoming mature in ecstatic worship. Who is showing the symptoms of that. Okay? People outside the Sangha, doesn't matter how great a position you have, if you don't associate with ecstatic devotees, you're still an outsider usually. If you're not an ecstatic devotee, if you're an ecstatic devotee, you'll give honor to ecstatic devotees. You just say, yeah, man, look at this. This is what we're here for. Okay? Clear? Clear enough? Okay. Yeah. All right. All glories to the devotees of Lord Chaitanya. I also remember the 6 Goswamis, Rupa Sanatan, Bhatta Raghunath, Sri Jiva Gopal Bhatta, and Dasa Raghunath. It is by the mercy of all these Vaishnavas and Gurus that I attempt to write about the pastimes and qualities of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Whether I know or know not, it is for self-purification that I write this book. See, whether I know or know not. People might think he's false ego, if he says, I know. Whether I know or not, I write this book for self-purification. And that's actually the truth why any devotee speaks, is to purify the self. Purify the self. And the self, say one is really purified. Still, you're doing it for self-purification. For first of all, it's so ecstatic to talk about the truth and to glorify the truth. And you're always purifying the self because anybody listening to you is getting uplifted also and purified. There's only one self and we're all connected to it. It's our duty to make that one self happy. That's the Lord. So the pure devotees, the ones who have this confidential understanding, they understand the knack. They got the knack. They got the inside story on what's going on more. See, they're always working to purify the self. See? That's why whether I know or know not, I'm here to purify the self. Say if I know, I don't really need the purification that way, but it's ecstatic just to talk about the Lord. And it's ecstatic to share. Because if you serve the Lord, I was thinking about this verse of Lord Jesus Christ a little while ago, actually. And I was getting really ecstatic when I was chanting, give and it shall be given unto you. And I realized, that's Sankirtan, that's Ghostananandi. See? Because you give and more is given to you. See? But you got to have something to give too, that helps. So you give whatever that is and more is given. See? And so when you're worshiping the Lord, so coming online and chanting and you're an ecstatic devotee, and you give that, and that kind of purification, that kind of relish, more is given, more ecstasy. See, that's the secret of going out there in Sankirtan. You go and you give the holy name, you know, and you taste it yourself, and then other people also begin to hear that vibration, get purified, you feel great, man, afterwards. Notice that? Sort of? More or less?
I more experience it with just my own purification.
Yeah, well, that's part of it.
I enjoy kirtan and harinam.
Yeah, well, that's the idea. You enjoy it, and they also enjoy it. It actually, you get special mercy by doing it publicly. Yeah, special mercy. Yeah, sharing this with others. Yeah, and speaking of that, I think I'm going to take a walk over there too. You want to go over there and check it out? Yeah, so we're going to go have some more fun. This is fun too, but I think we'll go out there in Sankirtan. Maybe I'll do a little video while we're out there a little bit too. Okay, Hare Krishna, and see you soon. Four talks today. That's enough.
What do we call it? Early morning one.